Welcome everyone to episode 18, I believe. I named it that, and I'm pretty sure that's the number that we're on.
If it's not right, it is now.
Yeah. So it's been a while, right? We recorded late December, I think was the last time.
Mm-hmm.
We attempted to do a live stream. That worked okay.
Yeah. We're now mid-January.
Right.
How, first of all, Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year. Hopefully this year is slightly better.
Yeah. I mean, let's let's hope.
As long as, from the gaming side at least, as long as NFTs don't fully overtake the gaming industry, I think it'll be okay.
Yeah.
I can't speak for the rest of the world and global happenings and all, but...
Well, if 2022 ends up being a repeat or, dare I say, a worse sequel to 2021, let us just at least hope that this year's gaming will be enough to comfort us from the cold, harsh reality that we live in. And on that note, how do you feel about last year in terms of games?
I hear a lot of people say it was like a really poor year, but maybe it's just because I play a lot of indie games. But I thought it was a pretty good year. Also, 2020 I thought was like not just the global situation, but from a gaming front was pretty weak. But I'm also like not super into the big AAA Sony games, so
yeah,
I think everyone who was like, "Wow, 2020 was amazing for games," I think they're just kind of remembering like Last of Us Part 2 and Ghosts of Tsushima and Spider-Man and all that.
Animal Crossing came out, and that was a big... Was it 2020?
Yeah, that was 2020.
It feels so long ago.
But that was like the only big Nintendo game. Like Nintendo had a horrible 2020.
Yeah.
It was like Animal Crossing, a really disappointing Paper Mario, and then Hyrule Warriors, which I really liked. I've actually been going back and playing the DLC now. Just recently, but I know you don't care about that, and a lot of other people don't. So that's not like that was their big holiday game, and
yeah,
I think people didn't care. So
I'm not sure if I said it to you. I think I maybe said it on stream, but I kind of feel like if the game ran better, I would probably be more willing to give it a shot. Yeah. But it's already like kind of like it has the deck sort of stacked against it in that like I'm not really a fan of like that sort of game.
Yeah. And then when it's running at like 20 FPS.
Yeah, I could see the appeal, but I'm not willing to suffer through it for that.
It's so weird because like that kind of thing really bothers me, and it still did like for the first few hours. I've kind of gotten used to how poorly it runs. Mm-hmm. And like I've really gotten used to like some of the game's performance jank. And I think honestly it's easier to pull off some of the like flurry rush stuff. So I'm not saying that that I wouldn't like it to run at at least stable 30. Mm-hmm. But it's funny how, even people like me who complain about performance all the time, eventually, if you like a game enough, I think you can start to deal with it. I've also played like 50 hours of it, so
yeah, that could have some impact on your vote.
Yeah, it's kind of my Risk of Rain too, like that just kind of comfort food game that I go back to when I can't think of anything else I want to play.
That's fair. I can see that. It does sort of have like that kind of like turn off your brain sort of quality to it, and
For sure.
Turn off your brain and just like have a good time.
Right.
Veg out, maybe put it on a podcast.
Yeah. It's still funny to me, like when I mentioned the flurry rush, I don't think I mentioned this before. I hated the flurry rush mechanic in Breath of the Wild.
Really?
I thought it felt really out of place and the timing felt off. But it's like it feels amazing in Age of Calamity. So I'm not sure what they did, but they turned like one of the combat mechanics I disliked the most in Breath of the Wild, and it turned it into my favorite thing.
I mean, I guess that kind of makes sense though, because the Warriors games are less about like I guess it's well, no, I guess it's more about like combat finesse in terms of like scoring, and so like that I guess kind
Right.
of factors into it probably like goes deeper into that mechanic, I would imagine.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, they definitely I think most of it has to do with the timing.
Hmm.
And I think they did a better job of making it look less awkward, where Link just kind of teleports next to the enemy to start beating it. I don't know. It's hard to put into words like why it feels better. It just does.
Yeah. Gosh, I'm thinking about it now. I
Hmm.
also don't really like the flurry rush in Breath of the Wild. Like I like the
Just
I like the idea of it. It just
yeah,
feels really weird.
I feel like it's a combination of the timing and the animation that just looks off. So
Yeah.
it never feels good to do. It's just like, oh, I guess it happened this time when I was just trying to dodge.
It also just
So
doesn't really feel like it like you get much out of it. Like it feels like
when you break weapons when it happens frequently too,
yeah.
because every time you get a strike in, and it's like what, like 8 to 10 strikes or something.
Hmm.
So like if your weapon was already like getting close to breaking, like the number of times it would break doing a flurry rush, I was like, well, I wasn't sure I wanted that to happen yet, but
But I mean, it effectively like it always felt to me like it was like it feels like a move that should be dealing extra damage, and it only ever
yeah,
feels it deals the normal amount of damage.
I think it does, right?
So like, what I don't understand what the point is.
Yeah,
Like I'm sure on like a numbers by numbers basis, it probably does more damage, but it doesn't feel like it, and that's like that game feel is critical.
right. Well, maybe they'll nail it with the sequel if
Maybe
it comes out this year.
maybe it's scheduled for this year, right?
The last time officially they said, um, what did they say? It was like targeting a 2022 release.
Okay, so it's going to come out in 2025.
Yeah, in all their investors meetings, I think they keep putting it on the 2022 list. So not that that means a whole lot. They've put games on there that have gotten delayed like a month or so after.
Yeah.
So because I think Animal Crossing was one of those. It got like delayed a month after an investor meeting where they said, "Well, like, it's for sure coming out this year." So
Yeah, just keep pushing it back.
yeah,
I mean, I don't know. I don't know all the nuances of like investor deals and all that, but sometimes it would be nice if like like companies like it'd be nice if artists could just kind of be like and investors could like be understanding of each other, especially if
hmm,
investors could be understanding of artists. And just
yeah,
kind of be like, hey, we trust that you're going to make a cool thing, and not have to go through all the song and dance of like,
yeah,
well, what about the earnings? I don't know,
yeah,
but that's a whole other discussion. I feel.
yeah. Well, I think we've been seeing a lot of the issues with games that have just gone for like, oh, we have to meet this, fiscal year. I think the most recent one is what, Battlefield 2042, that
Hmm.
like the player base is almost completely gone.
It was out for like what, like a couple of weeks, and like then everybody stopped playing it.
Yeah. Well, they had a beta test that was super buggy, and everyone was like, "There's always those people that's like, well, that's not the finished game." It's like, well, when they release betas, like that's generally the finished game. There might be like a couple little things they tweak, but
Hmm.
especially with a big budget game like that,
Yeah, well, especially public betas. Like private betas,
right?
I can understand.
Yeah,
Be like usually though like that would be like more needs more polish, needs more fixing. But like public
right.
betas are basically like last minute bug fixes.
Hmm. Yeah, almost more network tests than anything else,
Yeah.
which Dice has always had a problem with, from what I've heard.
Hmm.
So I don't know. Dice has kind of like been run into the ground, I feel, by EA at this point.
What other stuff has DICE done?
Battlefield, and then they took over the Star Wars Battlefront games.
Yeah, I'm gonna blame EA on that.
Yeah, I feel like Respawn is like the only EA owned team that's like doing really well. Like BioWare is really struggling. I think they shut down another one. Well, obviously Visceral was a few years ago, but
Yeah.
I don't know. They've mishandled Need for Speed as well. Like they've mishandled almost everything. And yet they're still not the worst video game company right now.
Apparently.
Far from it, surprisingly.
Yeah, it's just when you think it can't get any worse, it sure as heck does.
Yep, here come Activision, Blizzard, and Ubisoft. And Take-Two. I guess you can throw Take-Two in there.
Yeah, I've heard some not so great things about them.
Making Warner Brothers Interactive look good right now. Just because they haven't done anything recently.
Yeah.
So there's no
you get a pass just for inaction.
They have 2 games, or 3 games launching this year, so I'm sure there'll be some controversy.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 of them are your favorite superhero games.
Oh, baby. You know I love a superhero game. I love it when Thor swings his big hammer.
Okay. Do you want to... Sorry, I wasn't expecting that.
It's all good. Yeah, let's jump into it.
Do you want to jump into our 2021?
Did we skip introducing ourselves?
I think we did, yeah.
I'm Sophia.
And I'm Zach.
Welcome to our gaming show.
I guess that was just like a 13-minute introduction.
Exactly. You know what? We're professionals.
Yeah.
Industry leading.
Right.
So, I feel like my list is pretty short. I only have 12 games on my 2021 list.
And you never played Pikmin Bloom, right?
No, I never played it.
Okay.
I did add a couple of games that were, I guess, new to me. I did sort of cheat with one of them because I counted the DLC for it, even though it didn't come out. But it was new to me.
What's cheating?
So it's a game that I've played, but I hadn't played the DLC for it when I played it before.
Okay. Is the DLC brand new though?
No.
Okay.
New to me.
Okay, got it. No, that's fair. That's fair.
But yeah, I don't know. I guess I could go first.
Okay.
So I've got Super Mario 3D World, Bowser's Fury, which I guess probably is also on your list.
The Bowser's Fury part, yes.
Yeah. For me, it was both. I'd never played either of them. Well, I wouldn't have played Bowser's Fury because that's the one that came out. That's the new one. But I've never played Mario 3D World, and I liked it a lot. It was a lot of fun. I got all the way through to it, like through the end, and I kind of was like, "Yep, I think I'm good. I don't think I want to go back and get all the characters through the end." So I felt pretty sad.
Did you unlock the final level?
Yeah.
Did you beat the final level?
Did not beat the final level.
Okay. How far did you get?
I got, I think, like maybe 2 or 3 warps in.
Okay.
So,
it's very challenging.
Yeah, like even right from the get-go.
And I believe in the Wii U version, to even unlock it, you had to not only get all of the green stars, all of the stamps, but you also had to hit the top of every flagpole and complete every level with every character.
Yeah, I think it was like that for this one, but I'm not sure.
Well, you didn't have to do the characters, though. I think that was the change.
Oh, okay.
which thank goodness, because I didn't have a lot of people to play the game with.
Hmm.
So that was like a lot of me replaying the game as each character.
Yeah, I saw in like people in forums were saying like you could just get four other players and bubble, or like four other controllers, bubble them, and then just carry one person to the end,
That's true. Back in
and it count.
2013, I did not think that.
But I didn't have enough time to do that, and also I didn't have four controllers laying around.
Yeah.
But yeah, I enjoyed it. I really liked Bowser's Fury.
Yes.
It was like a nice little. It kind of felt like a really good, I guess, like test demo.
Mm-hmm.
In a way, like it felt like a complete first act of a game.
Right. Right.
In a way. But I really like the kind of blend between arcade Mario and 3D platformer Mario. Um, I don't really know what else to say about it. It's adorable as heck. I love the art style. The music is as good as any Mario music.
I think it's better. I think the Bowser's Fury soundtrack's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's one of the few this year that like that's always my test for like my favorite soundtracks or which ones I listen to on YouTube
Mm.
after I finish the game, and that's one of the few that did it this year. So there aren't that many tracks, but I think they're all really good.
Yeah, Scamper Shores and
Yeah,
Lake Lapcat especially are
yeah. The
very,
Plessy
very good.
theme. I don't think you can be anything but happy when that music is playing.
Yeah, I also love that there's like there's like two variations of it. There's like
Hmm.
the bit where you're like racing along the water, and then the bits where like you're on land or you're not moving as quickly, where it kind of like goes to that backbeat a little
Hmm.
bit. Like I love stuff like that. I love it so much.
Yeah, I do too. I loved the structure of Bowser's Fury too.
Hmm.
I feel like this was kind of the perfect 3D Mario style, and
Yeah,
I would be very upset if they didn't do this moving forward with the next game.
yeah.
Um,
I loved it as well. It's done extremely well. Um, like you, every time you go to like an island, like you have a new thing to do there, and then once
mhm,
you do that, um, you have to like leave and come back for something else to be ready for you to do.
right,
So you kind of end up like visiting the. You're not like sticking with one island and then moving on to the next. You're like constantly like just wandering around, finding new things to do in old places.
right.
I really, really liked that.
It's like the openness of Odyssey, but with the level changing structure of 64 and Sunshine,
Yeah.
where like each time you come back, there's something new to do.
It's like recontextualized every single time you come back.
Yeah, yeah. That's just like such a fantastic design choice. So I don't know. I'm really hopeful that they implement some of those ideas into the next Mario game
Yeah, definitely.
whenever that comes out.
Do we want to switch back and forth on our lists, or do
We
we?
can. I had so I guess I can choose how I went up to 20 because I played 61 games this year.
Golly.
Those are just the new ones, not games in my backlog, mind you. Now that is counting everything, like including mobile games like Pikmin Bloom,
Mm.
um, and even some. I didn't play a lot of the entries in the Scream Jam, but I did play a few, and I put those on the list just to not my top 20 list, mind you.
Hmm.
Um, so I guess if I do my top 20, I'll just try and go through them pretty quickly, so
Okay.
that we're not here all day.
Yeah. Um, and some of these I think we both played.
Yeah.
So
So those will go by. Yep.
yeah.
Spoiler alert: Bowser's Fury's on my list somewhere.
Oh, whoa. Spoilers.
So my number 20 game was Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania, and this was actually like a very contested spot,
Really?
just because there were a lot of games that I enjoyed, but I didn't like really love, and I
Mm.
feel like I enjoyed Banana Mania the most of those. The reason it's so low though is because I feel like there was something a little off. This one feels a little glitchier. It's a remake of the first two games.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I looked up online, and there are a lot of people like, yeah, the physics are not quite right. So I wasn't crazy. It wasn't just that I'd lost all of my Super Monkey Ball skill. Um, but yeah, I just love Super Monkey Ball, and it's nice to have the series back in some way. I still really enjoyed it. I don't have a whole lot to say about it besides that. And that guitar level. Did you play the original Super Monkey Ball?
I think I've probably played more of Monkey Ball 2
Okay.
than 1. I think because was it 2 that had like all the extra mini games?
Yes, but I think the first one still had some of them.
Okay,
All of those mini games are remade as well.
I can't remember which one it was that I played more of than the other. But I've played a little bit of them, and I've seen like footage of other people. I've seen speedruns of it.
Yeah, that's probably really really fun to watch.
Yeah.
Um, so I guess for the nostalgia factor, it gets on the list.
Okay. I didn't rank any of my games. I just like wrote them down in order
Right,
of
right.
appearance. Um, I've got Crash Bandicoot 4. It's about time.
Oh yeah, this
Um,
did technically release this year on Switch, right?
yeah, so I counted it.
Yep.
Um, it's it's a really good Crash game. It is. I think it's the best realization of the Crash formula.
Mm-hmm.
If you kind of like think about it's like it's less of a 3D platformer and more of like a it's like a 2D platformer just with the camera in a different spot. If that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, and it basically boils the game down to like the parts that like the original 3 did really well. It like boils those essentials down and then like spreads it out so much better across an entire game. It I'm struggling to talk about it. I'm a huge fan of Crash Bandicoot. I've always loved the Crash games. I grew up with them, so it just was like I don't know. It's just really cool to see Crash finally getting like this much love, and
Yeah.
especially Crash has had a lot of interesting games, not necessarily good games, after the first 3. So it feels like as a fan of the series, it feels really good to finally have like a definitively like very good Crash Bandicoot game.
Didn't they make fun of that in the trailers?
Yeah, well, in the actual game itself as well.
Oh, okay. Maybe that was just a cutscene from the.
Yeah,
They
they're
mentioned like
like,
it seems like more things have happened since, or like there's some reference to like more events happening. It's like no, I don't think there were.
yeah, it's like it's like how many times have you dealt with this guy?
Yeah.
3, really? Seemed like more, or something
Yeah.
like
That's
that. Something to that effect. So it's kind of poking
yeah.
fun at itself a little bit, but yeah, it is very much like the best like modern iteration of the series.
And I'm
Um,
actually interested in playing it. So that's as someone who doesn't like the Crash Bandicoot trilogy.
yeah,
Um,
it's definitely worth checking out. I think some of the biggest things that they changed were there's a way like you can turn this off at any point, but by default you have unlimited lives.
hmm.
And you can play in retro mode where like you do have lives, and if you lose them all, you have to start over. Um, and they gave you like a little like drop shadow, like a highlighted drop shadow that is like helps you like align yourself in 3D space,
Hmm.
which is really handy. Um, but there's like so many like different things, like you know how like in Mario they're like, or in Donkey Kong. There's like the main objective of like getting to the end of the stage, but then there's also like the Kong letters to find, and then I think like a puzzle piece.
Yeah, in the newer ones, the puzzle pieces. Yeah.
So it's kind of like that, where like each level has like certain things. Like you get 3 gems if you get like 30, 60, and 80% of the fruit in the level.
Mm-hmm.
There's one for hitting all the boxes. There's one for just finding the gem hidden in the level. There's one for finishing the level under 3 deaths. So like there's a lot of like replay value, and then later on in like about halfway through, you unlock inverted versions of that. So there's even more stuff to collect, and there's like skins to unlock, and
wow,
it's just like it's tons of stuff to do in this game. It doesn't like overstay its welcome at all.
That's cool. How much do the skins cost, Sophia?
The skins are free. You just gotta you have to. At least I don't think you can spend like actual money to get them.
I haven't seen anywhere where you can.
Yeah, you have to like unlock them through gameplay.
Wow, that's a really novel concept.
Yeah, it's interesting. Why don't more games do that?
Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's unfortunate too, because the developer got merged into the Call of Duty teams, right?
I don't know anything about that.
Oh, okay. That's what I heard, that they like Toys for Bob got moved into like a Call of Duty support team.
Ugh.
Which means that Spyro 4 is probably not going to be a thing, unfortunately.
No.
As if Activision Blizzard couldn't be worse.
but I want Spyro 4.
I do too.
I love Spyro. Probably even more than Crash.
I definitely do. That's the developer, right? Toys for Bob.
Yeah.
I'm just checking just to make sure that's what.
I think it's so funny that like Crash got the trilogy remaster before Spyro got it, and those trilogy remasters were done by different teams. But the team that did Spyro's remaster is the one that got picked to make Crash's new game.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what that says about the team or Crash.
It's interesting. Like I kind of assumed that Crash 4 was kind of them like, okay, now that we've done the Insane trilogy and that did so well, we'll do Crash 4, and then because the Spyro Reignited trilogy did so well, they'll do Spyro 4. But I did find an article here. Yeah, they did move them as a Call of Duty support team.
Yeah.
At least for the time being, but that just means that like anything they were working on is being paused or canceled, unfortunately.
Or shoved off onto whoever can do it for like the cheapest.
Yeah, exactly.
Which also doesn't bode well, but I don't know. 2022, year of the Sonic. I mean Spyro.
My number 19. This is going to be pretty short because I don't know how to describe it without spoiling anything. Is Genesis Noir. I don't know if you're familiar with this game.
I don't think I've even heard of it.
So it's kind of like a point and click adventure / puzzle game, but it's like a noir love story about the universe. And I can't really go into much more detail. Because it's one of those games that should just be experienced. Like it's this low simply because, the gameplay is not like super engaging, but the visuals and the arts here are just absolutely fantastic. So
Genesis Noir, you said.
yes,
Okay, I'll have to check that out.
it's a very weird game, but it's just really gorgeous, and the soundtrack is great. It's got that kind of funky jazz sound to it. Um, it doesn't really have like talking in it. It's mostly just like a silent game told through visual storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
So it's on Game Pass as well, or at least it was. I assume it still is.
Okay. Well,
It's worth checking out at least for the art style.
okay. Well, I will make sure to. I will. Here, I'm going to make a list. Games I need to play. Genesis Noir. Okay.
So do you want to go next?
Yeah. Next, I've got Pac-Man 99.
That was on my list. So I made a list of predictions of ones I thought would be on your list
Okay. Well,
because I love making lists. So
I'm interested to see how many you got right. Pac-Man 99. So Tetris 99 released the year before,
no,
and
2 years.
2 years
I
before.
think.
Basically, it's Battle Royale Pac-Man. You and like 98 other people are playing a game of Pac-Man at the same time, and every time like you like eat a ghost or you get a power pellet or you get enough like eat the fruit. I think every time you like get some sort of like big point type thing, you send like attacks to other players, and like they have to deal with like these enemy Pac-Men or like they're Pac-Man on the board that slow you down, and they're also dealing attacks to you. And there's like I never figured out there was like different like strategies that you could set, and I never understood. It doesn't explain it very well what
I
those
believe
are.
that's like basically who you're attacking. So like the one I did frequently, and I get it's kind of mean, but basically you send most of your attacks to the people who are already doing poorly to knock them out faster.
Oh, geez. I have no idea how it works because it never the feedback
Yeah,
on selecting that stuff is like non-existent.
yeah, it's not, and it's not like you can possibly pay attention to all the other tiny screens.
Yeah,
Like it was hard enough to do in Tetris 99, but it's impossible to see like what's happening in those tiny mazes. Um, that said, actually, Pac-Man 99 almost made it onto my list because I think it works way better than Tetris 99.
I think it's the like next to Championship edition, Championship Deluxe is the best way to play Pac-Man.
Yeah, or Championship 2. The sequel's really good too.
I need to give Championship 2 a fair shot. I bought it and I instantly hated it.
Oh wow, okay.
I could not like wrap my head around it. It is so different from Championship 1.
Yeah.
So I guess I could put that on my list. I technically did.
I didn't know you were
play
into
that
Pac-Man.
this year. Yeah, I'm I guess a casual fan of Pac-Man.
Okay.
I really like the first Championship edition. I've put a lot of time into that. And Pac-Man 99 is like a really easy one to pick up. Join a session with like 98 other people and go for the top. And I've done pretty well. I've never gotten like all the way to the top, but I've gotten like I've placed like number 5
Okay.
before. So it's a lot of fun. Definitely recommend it, and it's free.
It is.
So
It's also like I feel like the attacks that other players do are not as like completely game destroying as Tetris 99, where it's like I like to think I'm decent at Tetris, but
yeah.
I was terrible at Tetris 99. And like anytime it would just be like I'd be playing the game and suddenly like the screen would just completely fill up with like dead blocks that I had to destroy. And it's like, okay, that just doesn't feel fair. Whereas like with Pac-Man 99, like you'll see those like slowdown ghosts or slowdown Pac-Man appear. and you're like, okay, I'll just go a different route. Like it forces you to think faster rather than feeling so overwhelmed by the screen
Yeah,
moving up so quickly.
I think that's because like they're two completely different types of games. Where like
Yeah.
Tetris is a puzzle game, Pac-Man is like an arcade game
Right.
where
Right.
like you have some sort of agency. You have limited agency in Tetris.
Yeah.
You can strategize in Pac-Man, whereas like Tetris, like you can strategize, but like not in the same way. You could go around an enemy in Pac-Man. You have to face an enemy in Tetris.
That's a good way of putting it. Yeah.
But yeah, that's next on my list. I haven't been keeping
Cool.
track.
I think it's the third one you've done. For me, number 18 is Mario Party Superstars. So I actually did end up getting this game for Christmas, which is pretty cool. So I've gotten to put more time into it.
Awesome.
And it's just a good Mario Party game. I don't know like how else to put it besides, it's the good boards from the good games with remade mini games. It's like all of the nostalgia of the old games, but with a few like newer tweaks that make them feel more modern, I guess. So I don't know. ND Cube has been working on these games for like like a decade now, and they've all been terrible except this one. So
They finally got it right.
yeah, by like remaking the old games. But no, it's a really fun love letter. Like the way it's presented to is very much like referencing the old games. And there's like lots of little things in there for the old fans. I think I mentioned earlier on the podcast that you can switch out for the original music. So you can have like all of the tracks have been completely remade, but then you can swap out to the original music if you prefer. So
I got to get that soundtrack because I got all of like the Mario Party music that I could find, even though like I've only played a couple of them because the music is really good for streaming.
Yeah.
Really, really fun to listen to. So I'm excited to hear the remastered versions.
Yeah. Yeah. It also feels more balanced than Super Mario Party was, where like one of your friends could get just all of the like assistant characters and just win, and there was just no way to get back at them. Whereas like this one has all of those same opportunities from the old games to really mess with your friends, and make a lot of people mad at you. It's fun. That's part of the Mario Party experience. So I didn't realize just how much I'd missed this, but it's also very vindicating too, because I see all of the positive response from newer fans online. And I was like, I was one of those people. Every time a new Mario Party game would come out, it's like, well, but it's not good like the old ones. And so many people were just like, oh, you're just remembering those games being better than they were, and then they finally like bring back the old games, and yeah, they are just better. So, anyways, yeah, that's my number 18.
Why don't they do like season passes for it? Like make a Mario Party game that like at its core it will always be the same, but like do new characters and boards for the same game.
I would like that. This seems like the perfect place to do that because it has 2 boards from the first game, 2 boards from the second, and 1 from the third, and like 100 mini games, 10 from each of the 10 mainline Mario parties. Yeah, it feels like a perfect opportunity to release like maybe some of the Super Mario Party boards, some of the handheld game mini games,
or DLC. I shouldn't say season pass.
Right.
I'm not saying that Mario Party should become a subscription service.
no, but I know what you mean. Just like
they made one game and then added to it.
Yeah, like this game has the perfect structure for that. Because there are differences in the way the first 3 games played, but they made some changes that unify all 3, so they don't feel like they're from different games.
Mm-hmm.
But they still have like the really interesting boards with the crazy designs and the kind of characters that Miyamoto won't allow anymore. Like
Oh,
characters that have, different hats and costumes and look different besides like stock Goomba, stock Toad.
it can have Toad with beard now.
Yeah. Yeah, but that was like during that era when Nintendo used to allow that stuff. So anyways, what's your next game?
I got Miitopia.
Oh, I forgot about that one.
Yeah, I was very excited that it came over. I've got high hopes that because Miitopia came over, maybe we'll get a new Tomodachi Life, or maybe they'll port over Tomodachi Life. I really hope so because I freaking love those games so much. So this one, I do need to spend more time with it. I've only played like a little bit of it, but what I have played is a lot of fun. Basically, you make me characters out of like anything, anyone or anything. You like give them different like job types or like RPG job types. So like there's like knight or cleric, but then there's like weird stuff like chef or pop star. And like as they interact, like as you like go on your journey, like they will have different interactions. They'll like their relationships will grow. Like sometimes they'll get angry at one another, or they'll like fall in love, and it's just really goofy, and I love it so much. It feels and like because it's a party that like you've created out of like potentially people that you're fond, like you're familiar with or fond of, like it's just really interesting. Like there's that kind of like personal investment, and like I want to see these characters that I know and love like really grow close.
That's cool.
So I really like it. The big thing that they added to this, aside from horse, which I actually haven't gotten to yet,
Yeah.
the big thing is the crazy makeup system.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot they added that.
I don't know if you've seen some of them, but people are making like the wildest stuff. They've like done like the Germa sus face. They've done like the $19 Fortnite gift card. They've done the actual Mona Lisa, not the weird like me face Mona Lisa that you've probably seen, but like it is so crazy how good this is, and it's like all just using like cutout shapes that like you can just kind of do whatever with, and you can adjust like at any angle. It is really amazing, and I hope that if they do come out with another Tomodachi Life, that they bring this over, because then it will be the perfect game.
Were you able to make a more true Blales and Bluckles? That's the real question.
I haven't, but I guarantee that you can. In fact, you probably could. Hold on.
I'm sure it exists.
Okay, hold on. Hold on. So, okay. This is going to be great for our podcast, which is a visual medium. And I don't know. We could maybe cut this out. Hold on. Why is this thing is so slow? So prepare yourself. I don't think you're ready.
Oh my gosh.
It's perfect.
Wow. It's like somebody drew that on top of a meme.
Exactly. It's so good. Like, anything that ever has Mii's in it ever needs to have this as a feature. It is required now. This is amazing.
That is just the best Bluckles.
So, I definitely need to invest more time in it. People have already made so much crazy stuff. So if there's a character that you want, someone has probably made a face of it. I was able to make out of one of my characters, and it's like nothing like super crazy, but like it just felt like really cool being able to do that. And you can even do it for like the different me expressions.
That's really neat.
So like you can set it up so that it won't break.
Wow.
Yeah. So for that alone, I think I recommend it. But even without that, it's still it's like it gets a little stale sometimes. Like it kind of like gets the gameplay loop gets, you really only like control the one character. Everyone else sort of interacts with like on their own. So like it kind of like it gets a little old, but I love everything else around it. Like there's just so much charm to it that like I'm willing to overlook that.
Gotcha. So did it live up to the hype? Because I know you've been following this one since it was originally announced just for Japan on the 3DS.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd say so. I think it's really, really good. I kind of hope that they keep making more stuff like it.
Yeah. Give us more Mii games, Nintendo.
Yeah. Don't kill the Mii. Don't kill off the Miis.
I feel like they're just like such a integral part of Nintendo now.
Yeah.
Where they were, you know, and like they've slowly been moving away from them. Which is sad, but anyways.
What do you got next?
Number 17 for me is Cyber Shadow. So this is the 2D pixel art platforming action game, actually published by Yacht Club Games, not developed by. And so it's kind of like a more modern Ninja Gaiden, but with like a better story and more modern mechanics. And some of the most like a more fair challenge. I can put it that way. Whereas like Ninja Gaiden, the old NES games can be like brutally difficult, and half the time you're like, that didn't feel fair because that enemy just respawned instantly and then killed me again. This one, like this game is honestly possibly harder than those NES games, but more fair about it. And so it's like, it's brutally difficult, but in the right way. And that's not something that I was expecting going. Like I heard people talk about how difficult this game was, and like the first couple hours, I'm like, nah, this isn't that bad. But the game really starts to kick your butt after about like 4 hours in. And it's got a very good soundtrack. So really good atmosphere, really good soundtrack, really great controls. It feels like a Yacht Club Games title, which is weird. I know they published it, but they had nothing to do with the development side of things. But it feels like that level of quality, like Shovel Knight. So I'm not sure if this is something personally you would be interested in. Like I said, there's not a whole lot of additional selling points beyond it's just a really good 2D action game. It does have a pretty interesting checkpoint system. Where like there are checkpoint stations, but you have to pay to activate them.
Oh, interesting.
So it's kind of like you use that money that you collect in the game to upgrade your character and your abilities. So it's like you want to hold on to that money, but it's kind of gambling on your skill to see how far you can make it.
Yeah.
So it's like the reverse version of Shovel Knight, where like you can just keep like every time you touch it, you instantly get that checkpoint, and you'll just keep being sent back to that same one. But if you break it, then you get additional money. So that one's like more of it's like a reverse gamble, I guess.
It's interesting.
So
yeah, I'm not sure if that's something that I personally would check out because I wasn't really a big fan of the original Ninja Gaiden, so I'm not sure if I would like a better version of it. But that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely listen to the soundtrack though. That's the main theme is pretty great too.
Okay, what's it called again?
Yeah, it's called Cyber Shadow.
Okay, making a note here. Okay.
Okay. Donkey Kong 64. That's my next game. No, I'm just kidding.
Wow, what an incredible release!
Donkey Kong 64 wins Game of the Year again.
How long until that do you think until that shows up on the N64 catalog?
Uh, I would say that happens sometime this year, probably after. I'm going to say second half of 2022.
That
They've
sounds
been
right.
they've been really drip feeding those 64 titles.
I mean, they've drip fed every single like legacy title.
They have, but the 64 games are literally one at a time. Like it's not just the other ones. They're at least like, okay, you have to wait a few months, but here's like 3.
They haven't even bothered fixing them. Like they're broken.
Yeah.
Is the thing.
Yep.
Like I don't know what's up. Like I know that the N64 is like notoriously difficult to emulate,
Yeah.
but
But
like,
emulators have
come
gotten
on, Nintendo, this is your console.
yeah, they have gotten better over the years too. So it's like other third-party emulation is now better than Nintendo's internal.
Mhm.
Anyways, that's a whole other topic. What's your next game?
Next up, I've got Chicory, Colorful Tale.
Okay, I wondered if that was one of the 3 that I thought could be your game of the year.
Yep. Well, it's I don't know if it's game of the year. I still have to finish it because I've been playing so much other stuff.
Yeah.
But it's on the list of games that I've played. I definitely really like it a lot. It's kind of like I think I've described it before. Is like it's sort of like a top-down Zelda in
Hmm.
a way. A little bit of like kind of Metroidvania, I guess. Like you get powers that allow you to traverse the world differently.
Hmm.
Basically, you're this dog with a paintbrush. You have to like help solve people's problems by like coloring in the world. They'll like ask you to like paint signs and stuff. And it has like a lot to say about like the struggles that the artists face. It has a lot to say about things like depression and the weight of like people's expectations.
Hmm.
Um, really good game. I definitely recommend it. It's super cute. All the characters are like named after different foods, and all the towns are named after like meals. So like
Okay.
you live in this town called Luncheon. The big city is called Dinners. It's so cute. It's super duper cute.
Yeah,
Um,
the more I'll have to try it out at some point. The more I read about it, the more I was like, this is like the most Sophia game.
it really is. It's super adorable. You even get
And
like
it's like
little outfits to like customize your dog with.
that's cool.
So if you get a chance, I definitely recommend trying it out.
It just came to Switch, so
Yeah, I should get it on the Switch. Then I'd probably finish it.
that's how I finish most indie games.
Switch is just such a good console.
It is.
It's so nice to have like a little console that I can just like carry around and like set up at a different TV, or like if someone's using the TV, I just pull it up and play it.
Yep.
This advertisement brought to you by Nintendo. Buy a Switch. What's your next?
So my number 16 is Blaster Master 03. I feel like every time one of these games comes out, it makes it somewhere on my list. But it kind of keeps growing because this is the final entry in the Zero trilogy,
Mm-hmm.
and it really goes out with a bang. Um, it doesn't like reinvent the wheel or anything. It is very similar to the other 2 games. I do feel that it nails the overhead sections even more than the second game did, and it adds a new like dimensional shifting mechanic, which is pretty cool.
Ooh.
So it feels a little bit more Metroidvania like than the past ones have.
Okay.
And the story, while still really dumb and ridiculous, has a lot of fan service in there, especially for people who played the original Blaster Master games.
Hmm.
So I don't want to spoil anything there, but it's just a really good Inti Creates 2D platforming action game.
I keep saying it. I keep thinking it. Like I've got to actually like buckle down because I have the first two, and
Oh, do you?
I've played like a little bit of the first one, and I really like it. But for some reason or another, I always stop playing it, and I don't pick it up again for like 6 months.
Hmm.
So I don't know I don't know what it is that like makes me keep like deciding that I've had enough. But
Interesting.
like I should dip into the second game because I haven't actually played it because I keep being like, well, I don't want to start the second game. I don't know what happened to the first game.
Uh, there's more story in the Zero trilogy than the older games, as you might expect, but it's still not fantastic, and it's very poorly written.
Hmm.
Also poorly translated. There are like numerous points in all three games where it's like, I don't think that was translated properly. I feel like Inti Creates is big enough now that they should have a better translation studio, but I don't know. It feels like you're playing a game like a Super Nintendo era game, translation wise.
Hmm.
But yeah, I don't think you really need to finish the first game. And like I said, the second game, I think I remember having a lot more fun with the overhead sections in the second game.
Okay,
I feel like
I'll
they
give that a
really,
try.
yeah. And then the
Doesn't
third game
doesn't
really
the
just
whole
kind
like
of,
first game happen like you chase your pet frog into a hole so and
yep,
it like disappears so you have to
yep.
like drive a mech car to go find your frog?
That's also the plot of the first game, the NES game. But they star two different characters, so
Hmm. Interesting. Yeah,
or
I'll check it out because like I mean it has a lot of things that like I really like
yeah.
thematically, but also like gameplay wise, like the I love the blend of like the side scroller
Hmm.
mixed with the top down shooter. Like
Yeah.
running around in like a big car with a gun is a lot of fun, but then like you get to hop out at any time
Hmm.
and like go into like these other special sections and like it's just like really cool. I
Yeah.
really like it, and I don't know why they keep dropping it. So I'm gonna
Yeah,
try
I
it.
think
I'm gonna
yeah, I
try the
think this
second one, and I'll probably get into the third.
yeah. Yeah, I think the second one is better. And I think the third one is just the best of the trilogy. There is more that's paid off from the second game in the third one. So,
Zero
not
three.
that you really need the story of Zero Two, but it comes into play more than the first game does.
Okay.
So, and there's a secret ending in the
Oh,
third one that I actually stumbled across without reading about it online. So,
oh, interesting.
it's got a really challenging like post game as well.
Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely check it out. Um, I got Death's Door next on my list.
Oh yeah,
Probably on your list as well.
yes, it is.
I don't know if we've talked about it on the podcast.
I think just a little bit last time.
So good.
Did you finish it?
I no, I haven't finished it.
Okay.
I've gotten. I think where am I right now? I'm in. Uh, I have like all of the secondary upgrades for
Okay.
all the ranged attacks. So I think I'm like, other than like collecting a few of like the extra vessels and stuff, I'm on
Hmm.
my way to get the third soul.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So I'm getting pretty close to the end.
Right.
It is like it's kind of like Legend of Zelda mixed with Dark Souls
Hmm.
in a way.
Yeah, it has like the level design of a Dark Souls game with like the kind of the difficulty, at least in the boss battles of a Souls like, but with
Hmm.
more of like the puzzle solving of a Zelda game.
Yeah, really
And just
good, super
yeah,
cute.
and like a very subtle but really great sense of humor.
Hmm.
It doesn't seem like it would be a game with a lot of humor, but it's done very tastefully.
Yeah, it feels like I think it does like a really good job of like kind of like towing the line of between like being silly but also grown up.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
I
characters joke around and they say goofy things, but there's also like, I don't know, it feels like it's dealing with mature themes in a mature way.
right. And the boss fights are so well done as well.
Yeah,
That's why I can't wait for you to get to the final boss because
I'm excited. I'm very
it's a
excited.
spectacle.
Yeah, I love the avarice rooms so
Hmm.
much. The those like every single this game, it feels so good. Like every time you dying doesn't feel good, but every time you die, you like jump. It will like be like, do you want to try again? And you jump like right back into that fight. So like you immediately get like another chance at it. So like it feels
Hmm.
so good to get good at these games, at this
Yeah,
game. So
yeah,
like
definitely.
all the boss fights that I've done have been so much fun because
Right.
they're kind of like little puzzles themselves. I
Yeah,
guess that's kind of like what you were saying about like the like they have that Zelda aspect to them.
yeah. It's like the difficulty of Dark Souls with the puzzle element of Zelda
Yeah.
and the kind of item based progression.
Hmm.
But even the way the levels are laid out, like there are very much like Zelda style dungeons leading up to the bosses,
Hmm.
but the areas connecting them, the way the game flows, you're kind of like you're doing things to like drop a ladder or you know burn down an area so you can pass through the kind of stuff that and it takes you like right back to places that you've been, similar to how Dark Souls does it, where
Yeah.
like progression is based on like unlocking new routes or shortcuts to get back to places.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's it's so good. It'll be coming up on my list.
Well, what do you got next?
Number 15 is new Pokemon Snap. I really enjoyed the original N64 game, and
Hmm.
it was one of those things where like I kind of kept waiting, thinking that there was going to be a sequel. I really thought like the 3DS would be the perfect platform, and then the Wii U is like, well, that would really be the perfect platform. The Switch is not, but it works well enough. Um, and it's just fun to see one of these games return. It's such a simple concept. It's a very zen game because
Hmm.
there's nothing that's actively trying to kill you. There's no way to lose a Pokemon Snap game. And then they also like flesh out the areas themselves. So not only are there more routes that you can take, there's also like the night variant, which different Pokemon come out at night. There's more boss battles. In the original game, there was like a final boss battle against Mew, I believe, and that was like the only one in the game, and it was a really cool segment. And so they decided to do that for every main area, to
Mm.
have like this kind of boss where you can take pictures of it, but it doesn't count unless their like aura goes away. So you have to find like different ways um, of like giving them these special glowy powers. I guess I don't remember. I don't remember the terminology. It's been a while since I played it, but it's really good. There are a few things that I wish that were changed. Um, some of the areas can be a little bit repetitive because you do kind of have to grind for some of it. But it's the levels can be completed in like a few minutes, and later on you get the ability to zoom through them faster, so you can kind of speed up to just that spot that you want to be at. And of course, like there's always different ways to interact with the environment to make more Pokemon come out. So there's kind of a puzzle element to it.
Hmm.
And the more Pokemon poses that you get, that's another thing they added is every Pokemon has like 4 different poses now that you can capture. So trying to get them to do the different behaviors, finding like, do they do it at night with this certain thing? Do you bean them with a fluff fruit, which is basically just an apple that doesn't like make them fall over or anything? Because I think they felt that was too violent in the original. um, but yeah, it's a fun Zen game.
Yeah, I
So
definitely want to pick it up at some point. It
Yeah.
probably will never go on sale, but if it does, I'll try to snag it.
Yeah, yeah. I got it for if you buy new games at Walmart for whatever reason, they're $10 off. So any game I go to buy physically, I usually get it at Walmart
Hmm.
for cheaper.
Maybe
So
that's
this
what I
is one
should
of those
start
games
doing.
like this is one of those games that I got for 50. And I feel like for that price, I would still recommend like if you could get it for 40, it will probably never drop to that. But on the off chance that it does, I feel like that would be the perfect price. 60 is a bit much for what it is, but it is a very beautiful game too. Probably the best looking on Switch.
Yeah, it's so wild that it didn't come out on the 3DS or the Wii U, especially the Wii U.
Yeah.
Although I guess if it wasn't ready in time for the Wii U, but
Yeah.
still,
Although given how late it came out in the Switch's life, I can't imagine that it had started development during the Wii U phase. I mean, I don't think this is a game that needed like 5 years of development time.
right.
So, anyways, that's new Pokemon Snap.
Okay. Um, uh, Deltarune Chapter 2.
Oh yeah. Okay, so there's another game that's that's your game of the year. Then I think I know what it is, but
Well, I mean, I'm not doing these in order.
I know, I know. I just mean like you did pick one game like
Oh,
overall
yeah,
game of the
yeah,
year.
yeah, yeah.
So
I,
I thought
I,
it very
I
much could have
think
been Chicory or Deltarune Chapter Two.
one of these is definitely my game of the year. But I'll probably do like another that's just an honorable mention. I'll probably go ahead and just like spoil it. Deltarune Chapter 2 is my honorable mention.
Okay.
If my game of the year hadn't come out, this would probably be it. It is so good. It's so funny.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a fan of RPGs and you're a fan of Toby Fox's weird sense of humor, then this is a good one. It is a continuation of the first chapter, of course. There are going to be 5 more eventually. Um, but it's I don't really know like what to say about it without like going into a whole discussion about the game.
Yeah, this can be hard to
It's
summarize some
like
of these.
it picks up the next day from chapter 1, and you go to the cyber world, and there's just like a bunch of really cool characters. It's really funny. Good story. Great music. Music is so good.
Oh, it is.
I don't know. Have you played Chapter 2?
Yes, yes, I completed it.
What did
It
you?
may or may not be
What
on
are
my
your
list.
thoughts on it?
Yeah, it's funny because I think I'm not sure I really enjoyed it more than the first chapter, but there were so many. There were some more memorable moments, particularly the final boss fight in chapter 2 is fantastic.
Hmm.
I'm a huge Punch Out fan,
Yeah.
so I won't say anything else but that. But yeah, that was fantastic. I had a smile on my face that whole boss fight.
Hmm.
And yes, the new villain is Queen is fantastic.
Yeah. I gotta ask, what do you think of Spampton, the new internet sexy man?
So I did actually kind of stumble into, uh, I guess, the secret boss fight. I did have to look up one of the things to get there. Um, but yeah, that's an interesting. That's a like a whole different part of the game. It's completely well, like the initial encounter is not optional, obviously, but
Hmm.
um, pretty crazy that they added that whole extra section in, and it's yeah, I really like him. It's like he's a very disturbing character,
Yeah.
but I kind of like that. Like, there's a lot of mystery still surrounding Spampton. I've seen a lot of theories online a lot of speculation, but
Mm-hmm.
like the rest of the game is not that dark. Like I feel like the chapters are going to get darker as it goes on, or
Yeah.
at least deal with some more serious elements. I think the end of chapter 2 is suggesting that with
Yeah,
the
for sure.
soul. Yeah. Um, but yeah, no, I thought that was a really interesting area. Did you find that on your initial run?
I actually missed it entirely.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Did you
uh,
find like the blue check marks?
yeah, I did find those.
Okay.
But I completely missed the extra special fight with Spamton.
Yeah.
And I also I don't have the heart to do the Snowgrave route, which is basically like the genocide run of
Yeah.
chapter 2.
I don't either.
But yeah, it's really interesting that like there are just like seeing the it's like it handles choice very differently from the way it does in Undertale.
hmm
That is just I'm very I don't really know like what to think of it. It's different. It's interesting. It'll be really neat to see how it all pans out in the end.
Yeah. Also, they fleshed out Birdly. Of all
Yeah.
characters.
What do you think of Birdly?
I thought it was just kind of like, I mean, it's still kind of a joke character that also just looks like a dumb Falco.
Yeah.
um, but like I genuinely didn't expect that one like almost touching scene
hmm
with Birdly. So
Yeah.
that was actually quite interesting.
Yeah. He poor. Oh, oh gosh.
I did love Queen being like really annoyed though, like trying to
Yeah.
hide. Everyone's trying to hide from Birdly. That was just fantastic.
That one boy. Birdly. Uh. So
And
good.
the faces in the text box
Yeah.
are just so good.
Yeah. There were a lot of like visual things different from like from Undertale that Deltarune does, and
Yeah.
the way it does text boxes is I really like. But yeah, I guess you go next.
Okay. Just have to pull up my list again. I don't know what happened. Uh, number 14 is Narita Boy. I don't know if you've heard of this one. This is another indie game. This is another really hard one to explain. Like Genesis Noir, it's this like game where you play as a hero program that was created by a guy who made like kind of a old 80s era computer trying to save a digital world while uncovering some of the like tragic moments of the creator's backstory.
Hmm.
And I really don't want to spoil what happens there, but it's all done via basically memory blocks that you access in game, and you just kind of walk through these dioramas. So there's no text explaining that backstory. You just like see these horrible things that are happening, and you kind of get where the whole story is going. But it's just a really good action platformer. A lot of people are calling it a Metroidvania. I don't think that's really accurate. There's not like item or ability based progression. It's more of like getting card keys and talking to NPCs to get new items that allow you to access new areas. And the gameplay itself, like, it's not super unique. It doesn't do anything to like really mix up the action platforming genre. But it just has this crazy like techno 80s vibe to it, complete with kind of like the CRT look, that really just like sells the game. And then having like that real world connection, um, is it's one of the most interesting games I played this year.
Hmm.
So that's another one believe is still on Game Pass.
Okay, Narita Boy, you said.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll check it out.
So it's like it's kind of contrasted with like you have this kind of happy, heroic, weirdo cyber world, then mixed with like the more tragic reality that's happening outside of the computer.
Interesting. Yeah, I'll definitely check that out.
But yeah, Game
Um,
Pass is great for trying out games like that. Like I never would have played Genesis Noir or Narita Boy.
yeah, I might. I'll probably be once I get the Steam Deck. I'll probably be able to do like. I'll probably actually be able to get something out of Game Pass
Yeah,
because I don't play the Xbox a lot. But I feel like the Steam Deck is just going to kind of be like the perfect PC for me.
yeah.
So I'll probably be able to play lots of stuff that I wouldn't have otherwise played. And I might actually get some use out of Game Pass. Because that's the thing, I've had it before, but I
Yeah.
just like, it's one of those things that like I just have and I never use. So I decided I didn't need to keep paying for it.
It's one of those things I pay like for about 3 months out of the year, over different intervals. Basically, I'll wait for like enough games to kind of build up that I want to try,
Mhm.
and then I'll like pay for a month. I'll stop playing everything else and just focus solely on like that list of games and try and get through as many as I can. And I discovered some really great games through it, and some others that I'm really glad I didn't spend money on. So, plus you get the discounts from on those games if you want to buy them, which is nice.
Yeah.
So, this ad brought to you by Xbox. No, I'm just kidding.
We should probably try to kick it into high gear.
Yeah. I got more to get through. So,
Okay. So next one. So I played Hollow Knight again. No.
Hollow Knight, your continual game of the year.
Yeah, I'm probably going to play it again this year.
Wow,
It's a good game. Come on,
it,
I love
it
it.
is. It is. It's on our game club wheel as well.
Yeah, I hope the game wheel ends on it soon, so I can play it again. Um, Outer Wilds: Echoes of the Eye. So Outer Wilds is has been around
Oh,
for a few years.
okay. So
Um,
we've now gone through all three games that I assumed were going to be one of which would be your game of the year. So I'm very interested to hear what your game of the year is.
okay, should I wait till the end, or
No,
should I just
go
tell
ahead and
you?
wait.
It's Outer Wilds: Echoes of the Eye. That's my game of the year.
Oh, okay.
Um, I think I've tried to talk about it without actually talking about it before.
Yeah, I know this
Because
game is like
the more
notorious.
you say, the more you take away from someone who hasn't played it.
Right.
This game made me cry so hard.
Wow.
The soundtrack still makes me cry.
Wow.
This game has moved me in a way that no other game ever has. And I cannot talk about it without giving it away, without like ruining it.
Yeah.
It is very hard to like play again because the
Mm.
whole point is like experiencing it and discovering it and learning and having that like revelation.
Oh, okay.
You can never play Outer Wilds for the first time ever again. So it's an extremely special game.
Okay.
Um, it's my game of the year.
I'm very interested to play this game now.
Yeah,
I saw one of the other content creators I follow that was his game of the year as well.
yeah. I would say if you can do the DLC first, and then beat the main campaign or the main
Oh, okay.
story, because the DLC ties into the ending of the game,
Hmm. Okay, that's
and that's
interesting.
all. That's all I'm gonna say.
All right. I did wonder if that was going to be your game of the year. When you first said it, I thought you were just like giving the next like random game on your list, but
No, I just like I said, I just did these in like the order that I found them on the
yeah,
list.
that makes sense.
But yeah, that's my game of the year.
Cool. I kind of figured it might be, but I also thought it could be Chicory or Deltarune Chapter 2. So number 13 for me is actually Forza Horizon 5.
I have heard that it's very good, but I want to hear. I'm very excited to hear from you about it because, like, I'm interested.
Yeah. So you know how we kind of talked about earlier that like you're not super big into racing games, and I'm not like I'll play like a couple a generation, like not counting Mario Kart.
Mm-hmm.
But it's definitely like not my go-to genre.
Right.
Um, but like you'd kind of talked about wanting a game where you can just drive.
Yes.
This is kind of that game. And I haven't played any of the other ones, so maybe that's why it's as high on my list as it is. There wasn't a game I played this year that I consistently had as much fun playing as Horizon 5, which is kind of shocking to me because, again, I don't play a lot of racing games generally. But it's a game that like it's set in a giant open world, and there are a bunch of like different races and events that can pop up all over the map. So there is content there if you want to do that, including user created content.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also just fun to drive. Just driving around this world, unlocking new vehicles, and then trying those out in the open world. There's a rewind button, so like if you want to redo a corner, or if you smash up your car, like you can just hit one button, and it'll rewind the game to different spots.
Ooh.
And it saves like up to 10 or something. I was just testing it today. Like it'll really take you pretty far back. Because I intentionally wanted to see what happened if I drove through a guardrail and went off a cliff. So
Mm-hmm.
it didn't end well, but I assumed it wouldn't. It was fun though. But yeah, the game just constantly rewards you for just playing it. So you're constantly getting XP. Hitting stuff gets you XP. Nearly hitting stuff gets you XP. Drifting around corners gets you XP.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like there's a constant, even if you're not interacting with the game's pre-made content, you're still leveling up and you're still like progressing through the game in a weird way.
It's cool.
So
it won the award for like best sound design. So what is that about?
so I have been playing it with my new headset that has like the Windows Sonic 3D audio. I'm not sure I would say it's like the absolute best sound design, but it sounds really nice. I'm not sure like what makes it like it's a really great car experience. Like the cars sound nice, and you do hear like the other cars passing. Like you can hear where all the other cars are in 3D space without even seeing them. But I'm not sure. Like I guess they just put a lot of effort into making the sounds authentic.
Okay.
I don't feel like I'm really at liberty to speak on like that technical side of things.
That's fair.
But
I mean, like, I don't know. Like, I feel like there's only so much. Like, you could make a car. It sure sounds like a car. I don't know. Maybe it's like algorithmically generated noise or something.
I think it's all recorded off of the actual vehicles.
Okay.
Because there are enthusiasts who would tell you like that's not accurate. I'm not one of those people, but those people do exist. And I think a lot of those people play these games. So
I guess a lot of those people also tuned into the Game Awards.
yeah. I think I was going to say something else, and I kind of forgot.
Yeah,
sorry.
I already kind of had my eyes on this, but I hadn't really seen anybody else talk about it. Like I just kind of like heard bits and pieces here and there.
Yeah.
But like I haven't like really looked that much into it. So
Yeah.
I kind of was already like peeking over the fence, like, oh, that looks kind of good.
Yeah, I would recommend giving it a shot, especially like if you do get Game Pass again, then like there's really no excuse because it's on there. And it's also really cool from like the virtual tourism perspective because this is set in Mexico and it's set into like, I don't know how accurate. I'm assuming it's like a condensed section of it.
Yeah.
But it is really cool to just like they implement a lot of the culture there into the game. And then there's all these like huge like set piece moments if you want to interact with that, or you can just have fun messing around. All of like a lot of the cars that are driving on the road are drivatars, which are like the AI version of other players, like based on how they perform.
Mm-hmm.
And you can challenge those at any point. So you can get into like a 1v1 race whenever. There's
Oh
no
wow.
need to like queue anywhere. It has like a lot of, it's got a lot of like really cool cars and then a lot of goofy, silly things.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Can I
appreciate
draw the
that.
Oscar Meyer Wiener car?
Unfortunately, that's not there. The Warthog from Halo is though.
Oh wow. I guess that makes sense, but that's
Yeah,
kind of funny.
I don't have it because it's pretty expensive.
Mm.
There are different ways to acquire cars. You can buy them outright. There's like um, well, there's also like a wheel spin that you do every time you level up, and you can either get like more money, like more in-game credits, or a new car, or some like new the lame things I don't care about, like cosmetics for my driver. Like, I mean, I just don't care about that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, it's a fun game, and it's kind of the perfect mix between like an actual racing sim and an arcade game. I think like control wise, they did a good job of blending those two. And there's a lot of cool user created content too, because you can also download other people's custom made skins for your car, which does include like people making like anime characters on cars. I saw some Marvel characters, or just like generally cool designs. So there's kind of a whole like user created content portion of it, because you can also make your own races based on the open world sections. So you can make your own challenges for other people to compete in.
That's cool.
So it's just a fun game. that's that's all there is to it. It's not my game of the year, but it's really good. And I didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I did.
Okay. Well, awesome. Yeah, I'll definitely check that out. Metroid Dread. That came out in October. It's a good Metroid game.
It is. I think we've talked a
Uh,
lot about this one before. So
Samus is back, baby.
and that
Um,
ending though.
yeah, I think this is like the best. Like this is the best feeling Metroid game in
Yeah,
the series.
mechanically, it's for sure the best Metroid game, probably in the entire series.
Yeah. They did a really good job of kind of bringing back that like fearless hunter
Yeah,
that we know her as, without like I feel like people were like getting really upset about like, oh, she doesn't like, I don't know, something about like the way that they portrayed her character. People were getting all up in arms about. I loved it. I thought they did a really good job.
yeah,
Um, Samus is so cool. She's so badass.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm
Um,
not sure what people were complaining about.
I don't know. They were like, "Oh, she doesn't like she doesn't show any emotion or anything." And it's like, no, I mean you could pretty clearly tell that she is like super freaking angry.
Yeah, but she's also like really battle hardened at this point, because this is the
Yeah.
latest like stage in the Metroid timeline.
Hmm.
So like she's dealt with so much crazy stuff, including adventures that we haven't even played yet, like Prime 4, which is going to be set before this one, most likely. Um, so yeah, it makes sense that that she wouldn't really show a lot of emotion outside of, yeah, like some of the moments you can clearly see she is like really ticked off and is not putting up with anyone's crap.
Yeah.
And that's one of the great things about Samus. So
Yeah. Good game.
also bosses are fantastic in this game.
Yeah. Feels really good to get into like
It's
that
unfortunate
good
that
flow.
there isn't like a boss run mode.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll patch that in at some point, but
I mean, I guess if you're speed running, it's kind of a boss run.
yeah, yeah. And they did open it up more. That's they made it a bit more like Super with the different skips.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that they even included in the cutscenes some of the skips, like the morph ball bomb. I
Yeah,
think is one of the things, like when you fight Kraid,
yeah, that's
how it
so
has like an
cool.
alternate animation, like for it's not like, oh, you cheated and then got here, like you glitched the game. No, they anticipated you doing that, and
Yeah,
made a special finishing move for it.
it's so cool.
Yeah,
I need to actually pick it up again and try speed running it because like
yeah,
it makes me want to try speed running it.
yeah. The controls are just so smooth, and also like the counter mechanic from Samus Returns was really cool, but it did kind of slow some of the pace down a bit. So
Mm-hmm.
giving Samus the ability to counter on the fly, like while running, and then keep like shoot it and then keep running, being able to slide without having to stop and then press down twice to roll under a small gap.
Yeah.
They just did so much to streamline Samus's movement, and then giving her like the air dodge abilities through the Aeon powers
Mm-hmm.
was really cool. I wasn't sure how that would feel with Metroid, but I think they really pulled it off. So
Yeah.
fingers crossed that Nintendo will hire Mercury Steam to make another 2D Metroid.
Here's hoping. Um, Gosh, we got a lot of games,
I
don't
know
we?
I got to get through these faster. Some of these are already. I think 4 of the next ones are um, ones that we've already talked about, so these should go faster. Number 12 is the Great Ace Attorney Adventure.
Mm-hmm.
So they released a 2-pack of remakes of Ace Attorney games that we never got here in the U.S. And because of different localization issues, they kind of told us they would never come. So it was a very exciting moment for Ace Attorney fans to see this game, these games being released. I did not play the second one because obviously they, it's they're a story driven game. It's a visual novel series, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm only including the first one, which is Adventures, on here, and I think that's fair enough. I don't really want to talk about the second one because I don't know. And from the past Ace Attorney games, like I think they're really kind of the individual cases make or break them. But so far, I think I'd mentioned before, the first case of this game feels really slow, like a really drawn out tutorial. There's a moment about a half hour before the game actually, like the case actually ends, that you feel like, I know what it is. I know, I just can't like present it in that way yet. Like the other characters have to catch up to this.
Mm.
And that didn't give me a good vibe for how the rest of the game was going to play out, because from that point onward, like the rest of the cases were just really good. In fact, some of the best, I would say, in the entire series. So I don't know if you're interested in the Ace Attorney games, but because these games have really nothing to do with the original trilogy, it makes it a very good starting point. So,
Sorry.
and then I'll just throw in there, number 11 is Deltarune Chapter 2. So we already
Hell yeah.
talked about that one.
Sorry. I'm trying to shovel food into my face while you're talking. I'm sorry.
That's fine. I can go through another one too.
Yeah, go for it.
Number 10 is No More Heroes 3. I know I talked about this one a little bit earlier. This is a Suda 51 game, so whether or not you enjoy it really depends on if you find his sense of humor funny.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, like the game is just a giant parody, but like at times it takes itself seriously in games at times, but it's always meant to be a parody. And it's just a really great action game. Much smoother, I think, than the first 2 games. The open world sections are not fantastic, and I think that's kind of the thing that puts it down at number 10 and not any higher.
Mm-hmm.
I actually do kind of like the mundane mini games, but the structure of getting to those is not necessarily that fun. And I think I'd mentioned before, it kind of makes fun of open world games while doing the same things that other open world games do
Mm.
that people make fun of.
The
So it's like,
cardinal sin of parody.
yeah, yeah. So I think like while the rest of the game works because like it'll even change genres sometimes. The game has like a similar to the other games. It sets up a very linear structure of like, okay, here are the 10 alien bosses that you're going to fight. Um, and then you kind of fight the first two, and then it just, anything goes at that point. Some of the other bosses might get killed before you even get to the boss arena.
Oh wow.
And then you have to fight the character that killed them, or like some other random stuff comes up. Like it's just one of the most unpredictable games, and probably the craziest Suda 51 game that I've played. Even crazier than the first two, which is it's a feat, I should point out.
Do you have to have played the first two to enjoy the third?
No, there's fan service, but I think there's enough here. There's enough here that I think you would enjoy it.
Okay, I think if I ever see it on sale, I'll probably snatch it up.
Yeah, it's not published by Nintendo, so there's a chance that it could.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's number 10.
Okay. Next up for me, we're actually kind of getting to the end of my list. I have a couple of like, well, I'll explain it when I get to it. Okay. Up next is Animal Crossing Happy Home Paradise. I'm so angry that this wasn't in the game when it launched. I'm so angry that this had to come out after I was already kind of like done with Animal Crossing.
I can see that.
It is like one of my favorite things about Animal Crossing is like designing houses.
Yeah.
I don't really know what to say about it. Like they added a lot of features that weren't in like the original Happy Home Designer, like the way that you can like polish furniture, you can like do differently sized rooms, you can do partitions. Like it's basically that game, but like the deluxe version. I really enjoyed it, and then like I fell off it super hard because like I had other things other than Animal Crossing that I really wanted to play.
Yeah. Boy, that sure would have been nice to have had in 2020.
Yeah.
During the lockdown.
But and apparently that's the last big update. We're probably just going to get like really small seasonal stuff going forward, which kind of sucks. But
I would for sure jump back in if they announce like the intelligence and personality booster for the villagers.
Oh yeah,
I think that would do so much
for sure. But
they at least added new interactions, which is nice.
I feel like
a little bit since the update, but not a whole lot.
Yeah, but I feel like it's too much too late.
Yeah.
I guess it's too little too late. Like it's not enough to get me like to stick with it, to come back in and stick with it.
Yeah.
And it's so far in that like I'm not really interested anymore.
Like, I'm happy for all the people who are still playing it, but on a personal level, it's like, yeah, like where was this like, 12 months ago? Yeah.
Such a shame. I'm glad that it's out though. And maybe, I don't know, maybe in like a year or two, I'll come back to it and maybe I'll fall back in love with it.
Yeah. It's one of those games like years from now, I could see myself like, trying the game again, starting over and seeing just how different the experience is with all the updates.
Yeah. But it's just, I don't know, this whole game, it's just no New Leaf.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what it is about New Leaf specifically that just was like so special, that just like really, really nailed it.
Yeah.
But I feel like they haven't been able to do it since.
Unfortunately, no. And also New Leaf launched as a complete game, so
yeah.
So there's that. They added stuff that was like completely new to the series, not like re-adding in elements that had already been in past games.
Mm-hmm.
So none of us expected like the amiibo update with the
I
campground.
I randomly like got recommended that the um the Welcome Amiibo Direct the other
It's
day.
so good.
The one with Harv and KK.
Yeah,
It's just like people dressed up as them.
I miss those days.
So funny.
Nintendo didn't really like the stakes weren't high for them because their install base was like so small during
Hmm.
that Wii U era. So
So they
I
just
feel
kind of
like
did whatever.
yeah, yeah. There's like a level of professionalism that they've moved up to that's just like it's disappointing because it feels so cold and corporate now
Yeah.
as opposed to like that. Like I don't see them doing something like that anymore. But yeah, it's fantastic. It's worth rewatching just for the direct, like even though it's old news.
Yeah.
Um,
What else? What's up?
Number 9 is for me is Monster Hunter Stories 2: Wings of Ruin.
Hmm.
This is actually one I didn't finish it. I'm still playing it currently. I dabbled in it back in July when it first came out, but I really started to pick it up in December. Um, so more recently, it's kind of everything that Pokemon isn't. So it's like it's equal parts a like true Monster Hunter experience and a Pokemon style like turn-based monster collecting game.
Hmm.
And it does both of them like as good or better than the leading games in those kind of genres. So like there are even elements about the combat that I wish the mainline Monster Hunter games had, like the ability to switch out weapons. There's so much more strategy in this one than I think even the first one. I think I'd mentioned before, like the first one, the combat never clicked with me, and it's really not that different in this game, but there's just enough there. Um, like when you're in the combat sections, um, you can swap between like three different attack types of like speed, power, and technique. All of those kind of have like a kind of a Fire Emblem weapon triangle type weakness. Um, and then you can actually target like different parts of the monster,
Hmm.
similar to how you can in the actual mainline games. And then you can actually swap out your monsties, which are the like monster companions that you get in this game. Every turn, you can swap out to a different one if you want to. You can swap out weapon types mid battle. So some different parts of the monster are weak to certain weapon types. Um, and that's just a really cool mechanic. Like if a monster changes up its attack cycle mid boss fight, as a lot of them do, sometimes it'll like grab a boulder or something, and now it's blocking your sword or arrow attack. So you have to switch out to something like a hammer
Hmm.
to smash it. So it has that kind of dynamic monster fighting nature that the core Monster Hunter games have, but also done from a much more strategic turn-based style. So, and it's really fun. It collecting monsters. You go into different monster dens to collect eggs, and they're kind of like randomized dungeons. And then you can hatch those. There are different rarities of eggs, and you can detect that via the smell of the egg. Your um, Palico companion will like smell them and tell you if he smells anything good in that one.
Hmm.
And then you can kind of recycle monsters by giving them different genes. So every monster, like if you get rid of one, you can put one of the genes from that monster into one of your existing monsters.
Oh, interesting.
So there's this level of like kind of passing down like the right genes, and it's done via a 3x3 grid, and different spots on that grid unlock based on levels. So you're kind of trying to stack them in a way like kind of a tic tac toe board
Hmm.
to get additional buffs. So there's just a lot, like it's just a really good RPG and a good real like Monster Hunter game and a good Pokemon game. The areas are not like open world, but they are open ended. So there's some like very large areas mixed in with some like smaller areas with dungeons, lots of side areas to explore, collecting beating monsters gets you monster parts to craft more and better armor and weapons, just like in the core series. I don't know. It's just like a really good game.
So that sounds like a Monster Hunter that I might actually be able to get into.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think, honestly, I think you would. And it has some of the, like I said, it has enough of the elements of the core series that you're still getting the things that make Monster Hunter fun, while also getting the benefits of this kind of new Pokemon style, like monster raising and turn-based RPG mechanics. So
Yeah. You said get the PC version, not the Switch version, right?
it's tough. The Switch version runs horribly. It looks nice, but it runs horribly. But it's also the Switch, so playing it on the go is really nice. Even if it's at like 15 to 20 frames per second sometimes. And it's an unlocked frame rate, so it's oddly jarring. Like when you pull up menus, it jumps to 60. And then as soon as you back out, it's back down to like 23.
That's wild.
So
Nintendo, fix your hardware.
yeah, it's a solid game, and I'm disappointed it wasn't there at the Game Awards under Best RPG. Also, this game didn't sell nearly as well as Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, and that's just a crime.
It's offensive.
This game does everything that Pokemon should strive to do, and yet it has sold like an eighth of the copies. So,
not to mention that, like, aren't the new Pokemon games broken?
Yeah, there are glitches. Yeah, for sure. I haven't played them. I've just seen them.
I've seen like it's as bad as like they didn't account for being able to walk diagonally.
Oh yeah. There's definitely like game breaking things. All of the glitches from the old games are back. Like they remade them in Unity. like how do you? I don't know. That's a whole different topic. But, anyways, good game. We should move on to the next one.
Yeah. Next on my list, and this is actually last on my new games. Last on my 2021 games, Loop Hero. It's an interesting little game. You are a knight. The whole world has been destroyed by like this necromancer.
Mm-hmm.
And you basically kind of like wander around. There's like, it generates a loop, like a path that you will walk around every time you get back to your campfire. That starts like a new loop. And you will, as you encounter monsters, you get tiles that you can place on the map that will generate different kinds of monsters that will drop different like gear, and different other types of tiles. So basically you end up creating this little map that your character will like loop back around, and you'll get, you start to gather enough, materials and armor, and once you do enough like cycles, you will eventually, next time you get to your campfire, you have to fight a boss, and you rinse and repeat that, and you have like you can actually build the camp itself. So like there are people, like as you build things like form, like the world starts to reform kind of. So like you build a kitchen and a chef will show up. You build a forge and a blacksmith shows up, and they start to remember things about the old world. Sometimes you will encounter monsters and have like a little dialogue with them. And it's just like, it's just like, it's got a really fun gameplay loop.
Huh.
It is exactly my kind of game. Like it has like a really, really fun, like role-playing mechanic or RPG mechanic, is kind of card based. Okay. And it has like a little bit of that like strategic, builder sort of like tower defense almost.
Yeah.
Except I guess it's more of like tower offense. Because you're basically creating like a harder and harder path to walk.
Okay. Interesting.
So it was
I
it
did.
was free. It was free. It was like I think one of the Christmas games that Epic was giving away, and so that's how I got it. And I need to get back into it. I want to get it on the Switch.
Yeah, I did pick it up while it was free there. I think I missed almost all of the other games they were giving out, but I
I
did
don't
get that one.
I
So
don't think you really missed that much. I think the last three were like the Tomb Raider games, and I made sure to get those, but like I missed almost everything else.
oh, okay. I've only played the first of that trilogy, and it was really good. Story was a little poopy, but
I'm
the
excited. I'm
rest of the game
excited to
was
have. Here's an aside. I'm excited
yeah.
to have a computer that I can play Epic games on. I hate it so much that like Epic keeps giving away these free games that have Mac versions, but they don't give away the Mac version.
Yeah, yeah.
So like, I have so many games that I could play if I had the Mac version, but I don't. So I'm very excited for the Steam Deck because then I will have a computer.
When does that come out?
Um, my unit is set to ship Q2,
Okay,
so probably around June, July.
that's cool.
So Elden Ring will be out before I'm able to get a Steam Deck, which is unfortunate, but I will find a way to play Elden Ring. I have to play Elden Ring.
Okay, well that's cool. I'll have to check out Loop Hero.
Yeah.
It sounds like a strange game, and I'm kind of glad I got it free because I heard a lot of praise being heaped on it, and I looked at it and I was like, that I don't know if that's my kind of game or not. So that when you told me it was free, I was like, oh, okay, well I have no excuse, you know. If it hooks me, then I might pick it up on another platform. But
Yeah. I mean, I
um,
probably also wouldn't have bought it if it weren't like I wouldn't have gotten it if it weren't free. But
yeah,
I'm glad that I did get it because I really like it.
right. My number 8 is Axiom Verge 2.
Hmm.
I think I talked a little bit about this one. I think when I gave my initial preview, I wasn't really liking it so much, but I'm really glad that I stuck with it. It those The beginning of the game can feel a little bit awkward, and you kind of have to like throw out your preconceived notions of Metroidvania games. This one actually switches up a lot of that in unique ways, and I can't even like fully talk about them because this game is very story heavy. And it does actually connect with the first game, which I wasn't sure if it would. I kind of assumed it was more of like an anthology style sequel.
Hmm.
And it's not like it's a very subtle thing, but it's hard to talk about anything story related in this game. But yeah, the story and the gameplay loop really hooked me, and it's hard to talk about why this game is so good as a Metroidvania. Partially because I played it so long ago, but also it's one of those things that like it just kind of grew on me. It's a much slower paced Metroidvania,
Hmm.
so you never like you get a boomerang, but you never really get like a real projectile weapon. So the game has this much more almost stealth style feel to it, where combat is not really necessarily what you want to be doing because you don't feel like this super powerful character.
Hmm.
So like there are bosses in the game, but they're all completely optional.
So is it more about building up tools for survival versus building up an arsenal for combat?
But yeah, getting tools to access new areas. Um, and there's like a whole second world mechanic where you can like send a drone into this kind of cyber dimension thing through these like holes in reality. And then like you actually turn into the drone. It's a long story. But then like you can come out the other side, and that alternate world is a separate version of the main map. So whenever you pop out of that world, like you'll end up in a different area in the main world.
Hmm.
Um, Again, it's hard to like it's
Is
hard to
it is it
describe what
kind
makes
of
this game
like
special.
is it
But
kind of like how in Minecraft like you can use the Nether to like you go in one portal into the Nether and then like distance in
Yes.
the Nether is amplified 8 times in the real world.
No, it's 1-to-1. But it's
Well, I
similar.
just mean that concept of like
Yes, yes.
traveling to a different dimension to arrive someplace different in the real world.
Yes. And I think the thing that really stuck with me, like the story is very intriguing. There's a lot of lore here. So this is not a simple plot. Not only am I not going to, spoil things for the sake of, anyone who would want to play it, but also because it's very difficult to explain all the inner working elements of this game. Um, but it's like the balance of the story and just how well designed this game is and how well realized the the level design in the world is. It just really clicked with me. And this is like one of the few games that I actually like sat down and kind of binge played. Like I played this for hours on end. So
Okay.
it's worth checking out, especially if you get the game on sale.
Yeah. I'll try it. I'm willing to see what it's about. I remember I didn't like the first one, but I also jumped in without understanding how it worked, and also apparently at like one of the worst parts of the game.
Yeah.
Okay. So on to my next list. So these are games that didn't come out this year, but in a way they are new because I played them for the first time. So starting off, I played Dark Souls 3. That came out a good few years ago.
That was 2016, right?
That sounds right, because I think it came out after Bloodborne, which came out in 2015.
Yeah.
It's good. It feels like it kind of feels like they took like some elements from Bloodborne. Like it is slower than Bloodborne, but is the fastest of Dark Souls. If that makes any sense. Like
Okay.
movement feels more fluid in this game than it has in any of the others.
Okay.
Like the way you like quick step and dodge and stuff feels more zippy. It's very gray. I've also haven't gotten very far in it yet.
Okay.
So these are my early impressions. I'm enjoying it, but also it's a Souls game, so it's hard.
I would imagine. I've heard
frust-
is it the easiest of the trilogy? I
I'm
mean,
gonna
that's relative. But
I'm gonna have to get back to you on that because I haven't finished Dark Souls 2, which is something that I'm actually also working on in the background.
It's all building up to Elden Ring.
Yeah. I did actually beat first Dark Souls.
Oh wow!
For the first time. So
wow. Okay.
we should talk about that at some point.
Yeah, I would actually like to. I need to get back into it.
Yeah. It is. There are things that are easier about it. It's still you'll still often have those moments where it's like you get surrounded by 50 guys and it's just like, well, what could I have done?
Yeah.
I guess I should have got good. But I'm enjoying it. I'm excited to finish it.
So enemies still like follow you from halfway across the map.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
I wish they wouldn't.
It's Dark Souls. But
Yeah.
there's actually a funny thing. So they're like these little crabs, and there's like this little swampy area. These little crabs that will. They're the only enemy in the game that will chase you as long as there's like an accessible path to reach you.
Oh really?
Yes, they will endlessly run after you. They don't do a lot of damage, and they're like 2 feet, like about like 2 feet long.
Yeah.
They're like these just like I guess they're big in terms of crab, but
Yeah.
just they're a little enemy, and they'll just like skitter after you if you aggro them, as long as there's an accessible way to reach you.
Wow.
So you could go all the way back to the start of the game, and they would still chase after you.
Can you attack the crab for massive damage?
This feels like a reference to something, and I can't remember what it is.
Oh, you're not familiar with that? It's a Sony like E3 press conference meme. They're like infamous 2006. Okay, never mind. I thought you might get that one.
No. You can inflict massive damage on the crab, but yeah.
Just one of those cringe E3 moments.
Oh yeah, gosh, I miss those.
I do too.
It's so wild to find myself saying, "Gosh, I wish we had more cringe gamer moments."
Yeah, Ubisoft were the champions of that.
Oh yeah,
they were the ones that's like, oh, what horrible, awkward thing are they going to do this year? Like Mr. Caffeine. Oh, yeah, those were the days.
It was almost a relief to just know that EA was off like eating paste. Because so much like weird stuff was going on.
Yeah,
I miss it so much. What's next on your list?
My number 7 is Monster Hunter Rise. So as much as I praised Stories 2, there's just something about that like classic Monster Hunter gameplay, mixed with the new ability, the wire bugs, to basically it just allows you to like zip line through the air. Now it is like a limited resource and they have a cooldown, but it adds like such an added level of mobility. And they kind of started to do that a bit with, I forget what it was called. It was like the grapple shot or something in the Iceborne DLC for World. But this kind of takes that idea much further. And it also streamlines a lot of elements. The hunts feel like they don't last nearly as long. Monsters don't tend to run as far away. And, things like the online options are not quite as awkward as the past games. It's still not the best, but I don't know. This is just like, it's the most mobile, acrobatic feeling Monster Hunter game, especially since you can now like run up walls. So it adds a little bit of like a Breath of the Wild type experience, where the large kind of barriers dividing the areas can actually mostly be climbed. So it's no longer like the segmented areas don't feel as segmented because you can now just kind of run up them.
No more getting knocked off a cliff and having to walk around the map to get back to where you fell.
Yes, and go through like 10 loading screens to do so.
Nice.
Yeah, it's just kind of, it's hard to explain because it's like, if you like that Monster Hunter gameplay, this is just that, but with one of the best kind of like grappling experiences in gaming.
I probably would be more excited about it if the demo weren't just the worst demo.
The demo is abysmal. I was actually trying to get my sister to join our Monster Hunter group, to get another person in there. And this is like her first experience with Monster Hunter. She's seen them before. But she almost didn't buy the game because we played the demo together. That demo gives you the worst gear and pits you against the worst monsters right out of the gate. I can't think of a demo that would like make a person not want to buy a game more than that. So, but yeah, I would recommend trying Stories 2 first. I think it's a game that you would enjoy a lot more. And there's a trial version of the game.
Oh,
so it's not just a demo. It's the first few hours of the game, and that progress can be moved over if you buy the game in its entirety. So I don't know. Monster Hunter Rise shouldn't be this high on my list, but I just enjoy them so much. It's kind of my Soulsborne kind of game where like even if it's very similar to the other games, it's that like core gameplay that
Yeah.
is so addicting. So anytime you add new mechanics that make it feel fresh again. um, so yeah, that's my number 7 game.
Cool. Um, Next up, I've got this. So this is the one I was talking about being kind of a cheat. But I got Bloodborne on here. Uh,
Okay, my
so
favorite game.
I've played this one before. So it technically doesn't count as a new old game. But I'm counting it because I played the DLC, which I haven't played before.
Okay, okay.
And also I beat the game.
Oh wow. Okay.
Very
How long
good.
did that take?
It took a couple weeks, just like off and on playing.
Okay.
But it is Bloodborne, definitely in my top 10. One of my favorite games.
I feel like between you beating Bloodborne and Dark Souls now, like the gauntlet's been thrown down. Now I feel like I have to.
No, I mean like these, like the Souls games. I understand are not everybody's cup of tea. Like it takes a particular type of insanity to keep like beating your head against that brick wall.
It does. I find that it's mostly just From Software's take on it,
Mm-hmm.
as you might see with a couple of the other games that are coming up.
But yeah, I think there were like two hunters or like two DLCs. I can't remember, or it might have just been the one. I think it's like the old hunters
Yeah.
DLC, where you basically go into the hunter's nightmare, and you have to. It's like just like a really horrible sort of dreamy world. Full of monsters, and you fight other hunters in there. And it goes further into like explaining the lore, like where everything kind of originated in Bloodborne,
Hmm.
and has some really, really, really cool moments. Just like really, really, really fun gameplay moments. Really, really like good music. Exciting like story things
Huh.
happen.
Interesting.
I really liked it. Definitely one of my favorite games. Playing again, like I'm kind of like off and on playing it because I'm playing a lot of other stuff. So like every so
Yeah.
often, I'll boot it up when I just like don't feel like doing anything else, and I'll goof around on New Game Plus.
Okay.
It's a really good game. I don't know like
Having
what
a
else.
goof around with a Souls like game.
There's there's a thing you can get that turns you into like like a blue broccoli called a lumenwood.
Okay.
It just turns your head into like a broccoli. I'll remind me to send you a
Or
picture
just
of
the
it
head.
later.
Okay.
Yeah, but you get like
Interesting.
this special attack, so you just kind of like you just kind of run around as like a broccoli person, and that's just funny.
Okay.
So that's goofy.
Have you played
Um,
Sekiro?
no, I really want to.
Okay, so that's the one like of the modern FromSoft games. Or also Demon Souls, right? You haven't played Demon
I
Souls?
have not. I
Okay.
probably will never get to play it because
Well,
it's PlayStation
it's there's
exclusive.
rumor. Well, there have been rumors that that remake is coming to PC, so
Mm.
you might be able to after all.
I would totally check it out if it came on PC.
Yeah, you're not going to buy a PS5 just to play it.
No. Now, this is an entirely different discussion. There are rumors. There are rumors that PlayStation 5 is going to get backwards compatibility with 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
And if that happens, there would be a much stronger reason to get a PlayStation 5.
Oh, for
But
sure.
until that happens, the answer's got to be a hard no.
Okay. All right. Well, one of these days, maybe I'll have to check Bloodborne out again. See if I can get past my old issues with it.
Yeah.
So my number 6 is Halo Infinite, and I'm kind of surprised it's this high on the list. I wasn't sure going into it. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about it, and I definitely have my issues with it. But it's also just like it was kind of a magical experience, because it was the first like big next gen game that I played on my Series X. It was the first one that had like the next gen spatial audio, and also has a grappling hook.
It does have a grappling hook.
It is the best grappling hook that I think that has ever been put into a video game. And I know that's like, there are a lot of contenders for that title, but this was like some of the most fun that I had with a game this year. And while not all of the story beats were really great, I did feel like I enjoyed the story more than a lot of people did. It goes back to the Halo 4 style, more personal story. So it refocuses on Chief and the weapon, and then also introduces this new character, the pilot Echo 216, I think. And there's this like really interesting dynamic because like Echo is he's this like family man who survived this big war, and he was always just like a volunteer engineer who wanted to do his part but was never meant to like see action. And he's like the one survivor from this big battle that finds Chief. And so there's this interesting story element of he just wants to get back to see his family. He thought there was no way that he would be able to get back to see his family again. And Chief is like, no, we're going to finish this fight right here. So they're constantly at odds. And it's a really interesting, very personal story. There's some like weirdly touching scenes that include Master Chief. And I don't think I've ever said that before with Chief and touching. I mean, he and Samus are very similar in the way that they're just like very quiet, butt kicking characters. So
yeah.
But no, I really liked it. The sandbox is really fun. The multiplayer was a lot of fun. I got into it for a while. I'm not the biggest multiplayer person, so I haven't really stuck with it. And I feel like maybe it shouldn't be this high just given the monetization and progression issues, and also that the game isn't finished. It doesn't have the co-op mode. It doesn't have mission select. And it's still missing the Forge, all of which is supposed to come out in like the next 6 months, I think. But
so
what's
weird.
here is really good. So yeah, if you do end up subscribing to Game Pass again, definitely one to check out. And I'll just throw in number 5 as Bowser's Fury.
Okay. Yeah,
it's a really good game.
We already kind of
probably best 3D Mario structure. Just like 2 to 4 hours of continual Mario fun. Just like the best parts of Mario for like 2 to 4 hours.
This says that it came out, I guess, on PlayStation 5. So I'm counting it. Okay. I played Control.
Oh. How is that?
I don't know if did I play that last year? I don't know. I played Control. It's really good. I'm trying to think fast because it's getting late.
Yeah.
It's a third person action game. You get these like it's really cool thematically. Like you run around this weird like shape shifting government facility. Mm-hmm. You fight these weird like spectral zombies called the Hiss. You get these like really weird like paranormal powers. Like you can like fly, and you have this like force push thing. You can like levitate objects, stuff like that. There's I think like the main like actual story is kind of the weakest part of it. I really don't care much about the main plot, but there's like a bunch of like side missions where like you actually interact with like these like weird objects. There's like stuff like a rubber duck that like you will like vanish as soon as you get close to it, and you have to like chase it down and try to corner it.
Huh.
There's like a refrigerator that somebody has to be keeping eye contact with at all times, or else it will like do horrible things. Just like weird stuff like that. Like those like those kinds of objects, like haunted objects that have like paranormal powers.
That's cool.
That kind of stuff. Just like really really interesting moments. I think that is like the strongest part of the game, is like interacting with those things and kind of like resolving their puzzles.
Yeah.
And like the DLC is a lot of fun. It has some like really interesting set pieces, and like it kind of goes further into the lore of the world. I definitely recommend it. The gameplay is kind of like samey. It doesn't really like change up that much. The thing that changes the most is like where you are.
It does look fun,
but it's such an interesting environment, such an interesting setting that like I kind of give it a pass for that.
Okay. I've actually never played any of Remedy's games before, so.
I've only played this and like most of Alan Wake.
Okay.
This I think is it's better than Alan Wake.
Oh, okay.
Actually, there's DLC that kind of further expands on the Alan Wake story.
So it's connected?
Yes, it's all like in the same universe.
Okay. Yeah, I know they just like remade Alan Wake, so I'll have to maybe that's the version I'll check out.
It's okay. I think it's an interesting game. I think the story is more interesting than the actual gameplay.
Okay. Okay, so it's one of those.
Yeah.
I don't always mind those.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's really like the last four I have, only two of them I'm really gonna talk about. So number 4 is Ender Lilies, Quietest of the Nights.
Mm-hmm.
I think I mentioned this one to you before.
You've talked about it a couple times, yeah.
Yeah, I can't recommend this one enough. It probably should be at number 3 on my list. Number 3 is Metroid Dread. But I have that Metroid connection, and I can't stop freaking out over the fact that I'm playing Metroid Dread. You know what I mean? Like there's just that nostalgia factor, but
well, there's also that factor that like we didn't think we would get it.
Right. Excuse me. Yeah, so Ender Lilies is it's a side-scrolling platformer, and it's like one half Metroidvania, one half Souls-like. And it's probably, this is like just my favorite Souls-like of all time now. I've enjoyed this game way more than I did Hollow Knight, and I enjoyed Hollow Knight quite a bit. But it's weird. I don't see enough people talking about this game. Like, I feel like that Hollow Knight community would enjoy this game. But it just kind of like fell under most people's radar. I think I mentioned before, you play as this young girl who doesn't actually do the fighting herself. But she can purify these blight characters and then use their spirits as attacks. So as you play through the game, every boss and mini boss you encounter, you can then purify their spirit and then bring it in and set it as an attack on one of the face buttons. And then you can have like 2 different sets of face buttons. So you can basically have like 6 different blight spirits that are all active at once, and then switch between those seamlessly. So you can like have a much faster main attack, and then like switch out to a heavy attack. You can have some that only regen, like you have like a limited number of uses. Some of them are like kind of a mist-based poison attack. So like you can try and put an enemy into a cloud of that, so they're losing damage, as then you avoid their next attack and then come in for a better strike. There's just like there's so much strategy to it. There's so much customization with your play style. And it actively encourages you to explore this world and find all of the mini bosses, because then those become new attacks that you can equip. So it's again, it's kind of that like Souls style, but like imagine that mixed with Mega Man, which is probably why I like it so much. But it also controls like really well. It's got a gorgeous art style. It's got one of the best soundtracks this year. It's got this very like moody kind of gothic feel to it, and I just love this game. So I cannot recommend it enough. I think it's normally like 20 or $25, but it goes on sale quite often. So of any game on this list, except maybe number two, of games that you actually probably even more so, I would recommend picking this one up.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely have plans to get it at some point
Yeah.
because it sounds like it's really good.
And yeah, like I said, number three is Metroid Dread. And there's actually three games that you played this year that I just remembered that you played: the Tori games and Mass Effect Legendary Edition.
I actually didn't play Mass Effect.
I thought you did.
I played the second game. I think end of last year. Maybe it was early this year.
I thought you picked it up.
My my girlfriend bought it and she played it, but I.
Okay, so this is like Deathloop, where.
Yeah.
Okay.
I talked about it because she got it.
Okay.
Okay. Next on my list,
motorcycle racers outside your.
What's that?
So do you have like more motorcycle racers outside your place?
It's Saturday.
It's Saturday. It's their weekend pass.
This one I couldn't remember if it was like late last year, early this year. I think early this year because I remember playing it when I got my computer. And I didn't have my computer until like anyway. Void Bastards.
Oh, okay. I've heard of this.
Yeah, it's super good. It's a roguelike first person shooter, kind of stylized like a comic book. Basically you are one of like the X number of X million number prisoners on a prison ship that has been kind of like stranded in the galaxy. You are rehydrated, like picked at random and rehydrated by a computer, and basically given a mission to travel in like a little shuttle to other derelict vessels in order to salvage parts to repair the prison ship so that you can travel back home. Also, I kind of glossed over it. All the prisoners are like dehydrated and put in little like Ziploc baggies.
Okay.
It has a very the computer is voiced by the same person that did the narrator for Stanley Parable, so that kind of gives you an idea of like the sort of like level of humor that this game has. It's very cheeky British humor. But
I'm always down for that.
Yeah, the basic gameplay loop is you travel to these different vessels, and as you go, like as you travel further and further, it gets more and more difficult. Like there are like different, like deeper layers in the galaxy that you go, where there's like greater risk versus reward. And you were always like finding things like as you go, you like upgrade your tool bench and you like leave stuff behind that future prisoners can use. So every time you die, you are basically a new prisoner is picked, and you get to play as them. And they each have like different genetic traits. Like some are like short-sighted or something. Like they can't see as well. So like there's a darker vignette that makes it harder to see. There's some some are like one prisoner can have like a smoking trait where like they will occasionally like cough and alert enemies. So different sorts of things. Some of them are positive, some of them are negative. So like you kind of get like a random character each time, and it could be good or it could be bad.
Huh. That sounds really interesting.
Yeah, it's really good. It kind of ends pretty abruptly, but it's pretty fun. It's got a good loop to it.
Okay.
So I recommend it.
So it's a roguelike then? It does have an ending?
Yeah.
Okay. I like those more.
Hmm.
I feel like I'm progressing towards something which I enjoy.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're constantly like upgrading things that will like stay in future runs.
Okay, so this is a game I need to check out then.
Yeah, it's very good,
I
and it's
might
on
even have a
Nintendo Switch.
copy. I was gonna say I might even have a copy of it already. I don't know. I buy a lot of games and I don't play a lot of them.
That's fair.
It's
Me too.
bad.
Me too.
So for me, number two is Little Nightmares 2. I'm not sure how familiar you are with the Little Nightmares games.
Reasonably familiar.
Okay. This is another one that's kind of hard to explain why I like it so much, but there's something of like almost like an emotional connection that I experience with both of these games, but more so the second one, where like there's just something about the world, about the character design, about the art that draws me in and immerses me in a way that very few games do.
Hmm.
And when you combine that with the game's excellent design structure of making you, it's fairly linear, but the way that you solve the puzzles is done in a way that it always feels like you've come up with the solution rather than the game is like pointing out like, oh, you need to do this thing here. There's no text in the game. Um, so everything is like, wait, I wonder if this will work. And then it does. And then you feel really smart, even though like that was the solution to the puzzle. And I love that kind of thing. Um, yeah, it's just like the story of this game is fantastic. Similar to the first game, there aren't a lot of answers here. It really just raises a lot of questions. But the way it's done is so fascinating because, again, there's no text, there's no talking in this game. It's all done through visual cues. And most of it is done through gameplay. And the creature designs, everything is just like, I think they called it like a charming horror game. And that's a really good way of putting it because there's just something here. There's something here that isn't just like that normal, like, oh, it's just zombies or ghosts or something like that. Like it feels like there's something more sinister here, but then you never quite get the answers. And those things there, like, have some of the most unique, almost like stop motion animations. I don't know. There's something about the vibe of these games that clicks with me, and it's probably the game I've thought about the most since I played it. And it came out in like February, so the fact that I still remember it as strongly now, and I haven't replayed it, um, I don't know. It just connects with me on a deeper level. There's almost like a liminal space feeling to a lot of the environments as well,
Hmm.
where things feel like hauntingly familiar, but like very twisted. So probably some of the best art for any horror game or just really games in general. There's really nothing quite like the artwork in the Little Nightmares games.
I'll definitely check it out. I keep seeing the games on sale, and I keep thinking, no, not now.
They're
But
puzzle platformers
I
too.
should really just like take the plunge.
Yeah. The ending of both games is crazy. The ending of the second game is probably the biggest like what just happened moments um, of a game that I've played in years. So yeah, I cannot recommend it enough. Yeah, play both games for sure. I think the second one, the games are very cryptic, but the second game kind of makes it seem like it might be a prequel to the first game.
Hmm.
So, in other words, there's really not like a wrong order to play them in.
Okay.
There's not like there's no feeling of like, oh, I'm lost because I missed what happened. Like it's not that kind of game.
Okay.
It almost has like a little bit of that limbo, play dead kind of.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely check it out.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it's literally all like art, story, and design because it's not the gameplay. The gameplay's fine. It's just nothing like standout. Um, but the way everything kind of wraps together. And number one is Death's Door. That is like the most fun I've had um, with a game all year.
Yeah, I need to get back to finishing it. All right. Well, I only have a couple left on my list, so I'll just kind of try to speed run it.
Okay.
So I played Dead Cells for the first time. New DLC came out recently, Queen of the Sea, and it was on sale. So I was like, I've always kind of wanted to play it, so sure. So I grabbed it, and I'm really glad that I did because it is very good. It's another sort of roguelike. I actually kind of like compare this in my head to Risk of Rain in a weird way. In that it's about like each run you are unlocking more stuff that you can use in the next run.
Okay.
Or like more stuff that you could find in the next run.
Okay.
And it is it's kind of like Dark Souls, but not really. You don't like when you die, you don't get a chance to go back and get the stuff that you lost. So
right.
it's about like getting to checkpoints with the stuff that you have. That is like how you progress.
So this is a roguelike as well.
Yeah, there is an end. I haven't gotten to it yet because I've only been playing it for like a couple days.
Makes sense.
I really like it. It also kind of has that sort of like. I think I also kind of lump it next to Risk of Rain in my head as like one of those games that you could just like turn on and turn your brain off.
Okay.
It feels really good. A lot of fun. Next on the list is also the really good pixel art. Very very fluid.
Yes.
It's got like that. I can't tell if it's like 3D models that are pixelated or if it's like that Ghost Trick Phantom Detective level of like god tier pixel art, like pixel animation.
Huh. Interesting.
It's like that fluid. Wow. But yeah, the next I've got Slay the Spire, which has been out forever, but I only got it this year.
Mm-hmm.
It's really really good. It is a better it's a better SteamWorld Quest of Gilgamesh. SteamWorld Quest. I guess like SteamWorld Quest has like a story. This is like more focused on like on playing like rounds of cards.
Okay.
But the art style is like not super great.
Huh.
In some, it's a little rough in some spots. But gameplay wise, it is absolutely solid. You get into some like really really tense moments where like you have to really like strategize like what cards you're going to play. So you have like attack cards, defend cards. You get like artifacts that will like have effects on how you play. Like there's one that you like hold 5 cards in your hand each turn, and then you discard all of them once you've spent like your the number that you can. You can just kind of like rinse and repeat that, but there's like a artifact that will make it so that you don't discard anything at the end of your turn, which is good and bad because it makes it a lot easier to like hold on to something that you want to use, but it also makes it really hard to get rid of the cards. So I really like it. I want to dive deeper into it because it's a lot of fun, and it's I think the best card game that I've ever played.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, the best card based video game.
Right.
Even better than Sticker Star.
And Mega Man Battle Network.
Yes, certainly. It is a much better Mega Man Battle Network, except without any of the things that Battle Network does.
Yeah, I've known about Slay the Spire for a long time, I feel like it's kind of up there with with the likes of like Celeste and Shovel Knight for like those kind of like must play indies that like a ton of people have played.
Yeah,
Um,
I definitely say it's worth it, it earns the praise that it gets.
okay. It's just every time I see cards, I'm like, I don't know. Am I gonna like that?
I promise it's good. I promise
Okay.
it's good. I like it,
Okay.
but I can't speak for your tastes.
That's fine.
And last on my list is Mario and Rabbids.
Oh yeah, you did play that this year.
Yeah.
Last year,
I think I
2021.
talked a little bit about it before. I don't know, like what else I can say. It's a really good Mario strategy game.
It's like one of the best strategy games.
Yeah, it's
The focus on movement is like it's so much fun.
yeah,
And there really is not anything like that. Like jumping off of other players, like other team members, and using like the warp pipes to get around to different places.
yeah. It makes it
So
like
good.
it makes it feel like super good when you set up like a really good movement chain.
Yeah, makes me
So
want to replay it already.
yeah, I need to.
The
It's another
sequel's
game.
coming out this year.
I started so many games and then like dropped them as soon as like a shiny new one entered my field of vision. I'm horrible with that. I have ADHD, so it's very hard to like stay with something if it doesn't entertain me any longer.
Gotcha. So you didn't finish Mario and Rabbids?
I did not finish Mario and Rabbids.
Okay.
I'm like a world 4 now, I think.
Okay. There are like 4 main worlds, so
Oh, okay.
you're near the end.
I just finished the haunted world.
Okay. Okay. So you have about a quarter, a little bit more
Okay.
to go.
Yeah, I still haven't got actual Yoshi. I got fake Yoshi.
Rabbid Yoshi.
Yeah.
Yeah, that game actually made me genuinely like the Rabbids in a way that I never did before.
It's the best Rabbids game.
Yeah.
And I say that having played and enjoyed Rabbids Go Home.
I've never played that one. I've only played the original.
We ought to put
Raving Rabbids.
I would. I could probably emulate it. I used to have a copy of it.
Yeah, I don't think I have.
We should put it on the wheel.
I'll have
I
to
bet.
put
I
that
bet
on.
we could emulate it.
Probably.
But yeah, that's I probably played some other stuff in there, like you said, Tori is in there. I probably played some stuff on PC.
Right, but these were the ones that stuck out.
Yeah.
So, and again, these things on the list could change. Like I said, I feel like Ender Lilies maybe should be above Dread, but there is that Metroid fan excitement.
Yeah, these aren't definitive lists. These are just
right.
our lists, and mine was out of order.
Well, that was a long episode.
Yeah. But,
wow, almost out 2 hours and 40 minutes. I knew it was going to be long. I just didn't know how long.
Yeah, I felt like I was being rude, being like I don't want to go on for too long, but I also was a little worried that this one would be kind of a long one.
Yeah.
But,
well, we can wrap it up here.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening. If you made it to the end, oh my gosh, thank you for listening.
Yeah. We'll hopefully next time we record, we'll be talking about Psychonauts.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I'm very excited, and I'm also I'm hoping that 2022 is a good year for gaming. I hope that we get lots more good stuff. There's some really good stuff that came out this year.
Yeah,
some like really good stuff. Was Dread like announced this year and came out same year?
Yes, it was announced at E3 2021, and then we got it like 4 months later.
That is so wild.
Yeah.
So
and Nintendo's like that. They'll either announce a game like 5 years before it ever comes out, or longer, or they'll announce it and it's like it's coming out next week.
Yeah.
Nothing in between.
Mario.
Yeah. Yep.
Shows how much stock. I don't know if that shows how much stock they have in it.
We have those games that are like, okay, like Kirby's coming out, in 2 months, Like Pokemon's coming out, Legends Arceus is coming out at the end of this month, you know, and then we also have like games we've been waiting for like a million years, like the Breath of the Wild sequel, Prime 4, Pikmin 4.
Yeah, it's just like
Fingers crossed. Maybe
Nintendo's
this is the
just
year.
kind of like shrug.
Maybe this is the year for Pikmin 4.
2022, year of the video game.
All right. Well, again, thanks for listening, everyone.
Yeah, take care. Happy New Year.